Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. It is I, Warren Hayes, back at you for another Monday evening stream talking about some professional wrestling. Can believe that. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I'm happy. You're happy. We're all happy. Just muted my phone. Everything's okay. Got some stuff here. Got the old water bottle. We're all ready. We're all set. We are so set tonight to just have things go our way. Oh wait, I didn't do the thing here, but you don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna do it, and it will be completely unnoticeable. You won't know what I'm doing here that I haven't done. There's no way for you to make fun of me or say, haha, you didn't do that thing. It's like, yeah, there's no way you're gonna know. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. Hope you all have a lovely, lovely weekend. I did. A very lovely weekend, particularly the Saturday, where I spent some lovely time with my Valentine. I don't think she's here yet, because she's gonna come in later and scream about, has he said that I was his Valentine? Like, that's what she's gonna do later. I'm glad she's giving me like a grace period. Yeah, I think she might even be shocked that I'm talking about it within the first few minutes of the stream. But hey, look, she wasn't here, so it's her loss. No, we had a lovely time. Oh, Juno did exit. Over there. Okay. We had a lovely time because Juno was right on the armchair here in the back, and then I didn't see her exit. I didn't hear her exit. Now she's gone. So there you go. Lovely, lovely weekend. Ordered a whole lot of sushi, which is tremendous. I love sushi. Get it from a special place for special occasions, and ate a lot of that. Ended up watching what film? I'm drawing a blank. That's stupid. What films did we watch? We watched two movies. We watched The Princess Bride. And what was the other one? We watched The Princess Bride, which I hadn't seen easily in 30 years. Easily 3 decades since I had seen the Princess Bride last. It was delightful. It's just a delightful, lovely movie. I know the cliche as, oh, they don't make movies like they used to. They really don't make movies like that anymore. Especially Rob Reiner movies. They just don't do them like that anymore, and they're so lovely. And what was the other movie? What was the other thing we watched? I can't remember. I can't remember for the life of me. Hang on, I think I have it. I think I recorded it on my letterbox for these types of situations. Specifically, what did we end up watching? Oh, I guess I didn't letterbox it, because the last entry I have is The Princess Bride. I don't remember what the other one was. I'm trying to complete an utter blank. Okay, no, seriously, I have to figure it out. Not because this is the kind of shit that's going to bother me for the entirety of the proceedings tonight. If I don't figure it out. Hang on. Is this it? No, that's not it. No, that's not it at all. It's also, I'm not going to lie, it's preposterous that I can't remember. I honestly do not remember. I was way too invested in just spending time with my lovely darling. I can't remember what the movie was. I guess it didn't have that much of an impact on me. It's actually kind of preposterous, if we're being honest, that I just cannot remember it. Right? Look, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's going to bother me, but I just cannot remember. I cannot remember for the life of me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then Sunday caught up with the old AEW and recorded some reviews and then played a lot of Eugenics. I gotta put that out there. The Eugenics game is pretty rad. I mean, I'm a big fan of roguelikes to begin with. I like that little genre of games, and this one does not disappoint. And I already was a big fan of Ed McMillan's The Binding of Isaac. Played a lot of that, and it was a family institution here, with both my kids, and we played a lot of that. So it was just natural, I guess, that we'd likely be into the Eugenics, and it is fantastic, and I cannot recommend it enough. I cannot recommend it enough. It's really a great game. Apparently, if you want to 100% it, and Ed McMillan makes sure that 100%ing his games is extremely difficult. It's about 500 hours of gameplay you got to put in there. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm just going to play for my own personal enjoyment because it really is a great game. It's a tremendous game. Lots of character, lots of flavor, great mechanics. I feel like it's breathing in some really good life into the RTS genre, which is fine, but it's always, RTSs are always kind of a little repetitive. They're all also derivative a little bit. This one feels really unique. This one feels really, really unique. Good little twist there from our boy Ed McMillan. So I'm excited to continue down my exploration of that one game. So that was pretty much the weekend. Went to the dog park on Saturday morning with Juno, and she acted extremely strange. And I don't know if anyone in chat has any dogs, but it's extremely strange because I get to the dog park and it's the usual dog park we go to. It's just a little drive out. It's a wooded area. It's lovely, and it's always where we go. So we go there, and she knows she knows when we're going there. It's one of these, once we turn off on a certain road, then she gets really, really excited because she knows, oh, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. So she gets really excited. She's always happy to be there. She just runs right into the park. We open up the gates and she runs right in, and she runs around and she messes with other doggies, but now it's like we get to the gate. I open the gate. Well, you open the first gate, right? And you come in and you close the gate behind you. And then there's another gate, right? There's like a little environment, a little antechamber, I guess. Little antechamber of that represent that you just go there to sort of give your dog time to adjust and whatnot, and then the dogs all come around the door. So when they hear the first gate close, when you come in or open, whatever, when they hear the clink clank of the first gate, then the dogs that are in the park itself that have crossed the threshold and are in the second part of the dog park, they all get excited because they're like, oh shit, there's someone new coming. So then they all gather towards the door. And normally my dog doesn't have any issues. I open up the gate, she comes in, couple of snifferoos, sniffing some noses. Then she walks in, lets a couple of butt sniffers know that, she's not a big fan of the butt sniffing. She doesn't do it much, and she doesn't like people do it. When I say people, I mean dogs, but she probably wouldn't care if people did it as well. She doesn't care for it much when other dogs do it to her either. So, she'll just give them a growl, a little yelp. It's like, hey, get your nose out of there type of thing. I won't do unto others as you would want others to do unto you or whatever. So usually it's not a problem. Then she gets in and then she starts darting. She runs. My dog runs. That's how she expends her energy. That's how she likes to have fun. She just runs. But for some reason, we're walking in and there's like 3 dogs that come to greet her. There's a husky, which she's half husky, by the way. And she gets along great with huskies and big dogs in general. There's never much of an issue. And then there's 2 smaller dogs that should not have been in that area of the park, right? Because I think as is the case with most dog parks, you have one area of the park that's fenced in for the big dogs, and you have another area that's fenced in for smaller dogs, right? But these 2 smaller dogs were in the big dog section, right? And I don't know what I don't know what breed they are, but it's these dogs. They're small, like they're little bull type dogs. Okay, they're like little bull. Not bulldogs, but of the bull variety, right? And very short legs and really big heads and they always seem to have this perpetual dopey smile. Do you know what breed I'm talking about, chat? Anyway, so, and they've got these beady eyes like this, it's like, they like, in the correct lighting, they would look terrifying, okay? It'd be like a sleep paralysis demon staring at you, right? So she's walking in, and so the husky's there, and these 2 smaller dogs, and for some reason, she did not like this situation, and she completely freaked out, and she really started barking and nipping nasty at the dogs that were around her, right? And I had, one of the owner of the 2 short dopey dogs, she's saying, oh, well, this one is very young, so, he doesn't understand, personal space yet and whatnot. So, yeah, get him away before my dog does something that I'm going to regret, type of things. Like, okay, then, but she's not quite getting at the dog, and my dog's just going nuts, and she just, like, loses it. And thankfully, I know her body language enough to just, like, I grabbed, like, she has the harness, body harness with the handle, with the hand grip on the back. So I grabbed the grip and yank her back because she's just like completely out of her mind. These little dogs sniffing her ass, the husky being right there. I don't know, man. Something just like snapped. She just beep. I took her off and I brought her back into the car, and I was extremely disappointed. I was like, oh shit. And it was a lovely Saturday morning too. And I just don't know what happened. She just like she just snapped. She just absolutely snapped. Did she feel trapped? Did she feel like she was overwhelmed? I think that's probably what it is, right? But like what sucks is that now the next time I go to the park, which is probably going to be this Saturday, I'm going to be very weary. I'm going to be, I'm not going to be all like, oh, smiles and cheers going in and, hey, how you doing? And let my dog go. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll be like super anxious and super into it, right? It's like, Jesus Christ. I don't know what happened. Like usually we get to the park and she's just like all, nothing but fun and frolicking. That's usually what, and then she'll run into like some golden retrievers and she'll play, she'll play fight with the Goldens, and she's a overall a really easy dog around other dogs. Like she likes having fun, but I also know she has a little bit of a mean streak. When she's had enough, when she's overwhelmed, then she gets a little nippy, she gets a little snappy, she gets a little a little upset. Sometimes you just got to be careful. So so the issue that I'm confronted with now as we move forward next week, as we have to go back, is like, well, is everything going to be chill? Or now am I just going to be full of anxiety every time we go to the dog park now? And then if we go to the dog park and we run into this lady who owns these two dopey faced dogs, am I going to be like, that's going to be an awkward interaction, right? Like, what do I do? Do I apologize? Do I apologize because my dog was overwhelmed and she sort of like went a little crazy because she doesn't do that usually? Like, it's a weird thing. It's weird. It's strange. I don't like this feeling. I like the idea of going to the park with my dog and and being happy and seeing the couple of people on occasion that I've met before, and, just waving at them and whatnot, and letting my dog run around and frolic and, do dog stuff with other dogs. Not that kind of stuff, you fucking weirdos. Get your mind out of the gutter. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting too. Maybe I'm overreacting as well. But I'd be lying if it hasn't been like up front in my brain for the past 2 days. Like where I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh yeah, Juno was really nasty to those dopey faced dogs. I don't know why. It's kind of out of character for her. Not gonna lie. Again, like I know she's got a mean streak in her, and sometimes she has a tendency, like let's say she wants a dog to really fucking understand, brother, leave me alone. Well, she's gonna chase him down, right? And that's when I intervene, and because I'm like, look, the dog got the message, leave him alone, type of thing. Go over here, and then go over here. Let's go. Come on. And then she turns around and goes back for the dog. I'm like, you stupid animal. Leave him alone. So I know she's got, she can get overheated. I just want her to be happy. I just want her to be a fun dog. I just want her to be like, go around in the park and everyone. This is what I want. I want everyone to look at my dog at the dog park. I want them to see the behavior, and this is what I want them to think. I want them to say to themselves, that dude is such a great dog owner. That's what I want people to say. I want her to reflect on me positively. Not, oh, this fucking slob can't control his dog. No, I want people to look at what I'm doing, to see me and my dog, and for me to be an emblem. I want them to look at me and be something that they want to achieve, right? And it always pisses me off then when people come with their fucking Australian Shepherds, okay? And I love Australian Shepherds. They're a great dog. I love Australian Shepherds. They're very, very cool. I looked into having an Australian Shepherd before I actually got Juno, but doing some research, I realized that it was not for me. An Australian Shepherd was not for me because it requires a lot of exercise and whatnot. I was like, that's not the lifestyle. It's like I try. But, I can't guarantee this poor dog is going to get all the exercise that it needs because it requires high levels of. It has a lot of energy and whatnot. So I love the Australian Shepherds. I can't stand Australian Shepherd owners. No disrespect to any Australian Shepherd owners who might be here in the chat right now or listening to this later, but I cannot stand them. They all look so fucking smug because their dog is trained to a T. Have you ever noticed that Australian Shepherd dog owners, just like they click their teeth together, just like they do a, not do a, they just do like a thing with their mouth, and the dog comes running, and the dogs are always super obedient, like they listen to a T. It's like they never ever like go off if they call the name, the dog just like rushes over and sits at their foot, right? And then they're standing there going, and then they give their dog a treat and they're looking around, Yes, my dog is so well raised, isn't it? I cannot stand fucking Australian Shepherd owners. So if I'm at the dog park and I'm trying to show off how kind and cool my dog is, and you got the fucking Australian Shepherd owners who come in with their extremely well raised and obedient Australian Shepherds, and they make the rest of us look bad. They make all of us look like fucking goofs. You know? It's bullshit. You know, I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it's also real. These are very true feelings that I feel. And then I'll always remember, like around where I live, there's a guy who has an Australian Shepherd, right? And she's so well raised, okay, and obedient that he doesn't even keep her on a leash when he walks around with her. And I know it's a female because I talked to him once. And the first thing because I walked up, we were crossing paths. Juno was not with me. It was not, thank God. Juno just went cuckoo. And we were crossing paths, and I told him, I was like, hey, that's a beautiful dog you have there. Like, legitimately, that's a beautiful dog. Is it a he or she? It's a she. It tells me her name and whatnot, and it's like, so she. And then it's like, so she listens to you really, really well that you don't need a leash to walk her. That's pretty impressive. He says, well, yes, because I put in the effort. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Like, eat a bag of dicks. Jesus Christ. It's like, I'm just, like, of course, you just put in on, Oh, that's not, I have a dog. I'm just not, I'm going to the store. That's why she's not with me. I was doing something. I was just going to a pharmacy or whatever, the Dippin' or whatever. And so, I didn't have my dog. I also have a dog, and I also have a dog. She's a Labrador Husky mix. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, that's nice. What's her name? Like, I asked you your fucking dog's name, brother. Exchange the pleasantries to me. But no, like Australia and the ones that I meet at the park all kind of have that same attitude. It's never like, oh yeah, my dog is so much fun. It's like, no. I have this was a special breed that I got from from a family that came from somewhere and so much, and yes, and then we do a lot of training classes at the Furry Paws Academy. But I don't know if it's Furry Paws, but the name is, there's academy in the name, and I'm like, ugh, yuck hack. It's like, my God. And it's so annoying. And what's most annoying is that it makes me look terrible. It makes me look like a goofball in the process when they're there. Makes us all look bad. But I love the dogs. I love an Australian Shepherd. They're beautiful dogs, and they are really obedient. Like, they're work dogs. They were bred to take orders. Like, that's what they're for, right? That's what they crave. That's what they want. They want someone to tell them what to do. So that, that's fine. I understand. So everything sort of comes together. My dog was created to get pets and run away when I start talking too loud on a microphone. I think it's probably from the couple of times where I picked her up while I was on stream. I picked her up, and she really doesn't like getting picked up, and I think that traumatized her. I think that's I think that's the issue. I could be wrong, but I think that's the issue. Anyway, those are my dog problems, or at least my problems that I'm projecting through my dog, not onto my dog, but through my dog. Anyway. Let's say hello to everyone. Everyone is here. Let's say hello. It's time to say. It's time to take care of the community, Warren. Okay, Warren. DGMC, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. I'm here for the Booker T was a huge draw in WCW watch party. No, we're not doing that one. That's I don't know who's doing that one. I don't know who would do that one. It's nice to see you, though. DGMC is also a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel on top of that. Hikaru, nice to see you as well, and welcome to the chat. I'm here for making DGMC to be ranted upon. Yeah, I'm just give me a reason. Mr. Antox, nice to see you as well. Mushy shit aside, glad it's Monday. Who says it's glad it's Monday? Who says that? Who says that? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? AW1, how you doing, Travis? Welcome to the chat. Was the other movie True Romance? No, it wasn't. Now, see, now I have to. Now it's getting at me again. What was it? It was something on Netflix. It was on Netflix. Fuck me, I can't remember. I can't remember. I just can't remember. I just can't remember. Mickey O'Kenna, nice to see you and welcome. Also a member of the channel on top of that. Oh, and Travis is also a member, but Meggie is also a member. Back on the West Coast. What was once 7:30 is now 4:30. There you go. Everything is comfortable back as it used to be. Did Juno do a Danny Glover or Falling Down with Michael Douglas? She's just tired of the shit. Maybe. Maybe. It could be. It sounds like Pomeranians. No, they're not Pomeranians. They're taller. They're bigger than Poms. But they have like this big like oval head. And they've got a big, the way, they've got a really big mouth because they got a really big olive shaped head. And it's a big, it looks like a big smile. It's got tiny eyes, like little beady eyes. Might look for it in a second just to confirm, because I don't know what the breed is. I really don't know. But it wasn't a Pom. I know what a Pom is. It's not Poms. But they were just bigger. They're stockier, you know. Dan Reed, nice to see you, brother, from Pro Wrestling Eve. How you doing, pal? Welcome to the chat. Wait to see if it's a pattern first, then look to training classes. I don't know where you are, of course, but here vets have them weekly for free. Vets doing shit for free? Surely you jest. No, there's training classes that we can go to, but that's the thing is like she's well trained usually. Like I don't understand. It's very, very, very strange. My ex used to own an Australian Shepherd and would play piano for them, and they would use the human toilet and flush. I mean, they're Australian Shepherds are just like they're wired like that to just learn shit and listen. It's just a shame that their owners anyway. Hey, how you doing, Conrad of Everything Pro Wrestling? It is good to see you and welcome to the chat. Working on edits. Keep editing, brother. Edit the shit out of everything. Jay Luthi, nice to see you as well. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. Smug ass dog owners are the worst. They are. Yeah, dog elitists. All right, Warren, that's our half hour up, but I think you did a lot of good work this session. Thank you. Thank you. We did do a lot of good work. For the first time, we didn't talk about my mother. It is not a Shiba Inu, a Norwich Terrier. Let's see. No, that's not it either. Hey, let's watch some wrestling. Nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. All right, you know what we're gonna do? This is what we're gonna do, chat. We're gonna go to the thing and then we're gonna figure out the thing. But first, we're gonna do the thing. Okay? We're gonna do the most appropriate thing we could do.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Moliere. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master. And I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Hoo-yah! Hey, there he is. Patrick, how you doing? Welcome to the chat, member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. That's right, top of the hour of the show. So, I mean, you got to keep it's tradition here. I heard Jacques has incredibly trained Malteses. I doubt it. He doesn't strike me. No. I was gonna say something dopey, and I was gonna say he doesn't strike me as a dog lover, but I disagree. Now that I want to retract very, very clearly. I think Jacques Moliere, he's a dog lover. Especially once we saw him with his family and whatnot. And now this is a guy who loves himself a dog. And I trust people who love dogs. Okay, so what is the dopey dog breed with the big head and big smiley mouth? It's none of these. It's none of these. It's none of these. It's no, it's none of these. Like the head is shaped like an olive. But I know it's probably some kind of bull variant, right? British pit bull terrier, like Spud. No, not like Spuds McKenzie. No, I should ask Jeeves. Maybe I should. Maybe I should go to Alta Vista. Maybe I should go to Alta Vista to figure this one out. And go to Lycos web search. Shit. No, like it's not like. Okay. Dogs with oval shaped heads. No, not like that. It's not like on the length. It's on the width. What it's not oval in the length, but it's like like they really look dopey and they've got little beady eyes. The Don Cherry Dog, no, that's it. No, it's not a bull terrier. It's not hey JD, nice to see you. It's not a bull terrier. It's shit. What was it? How about pit bull? Yeah, if I could spell that'd be great. Pit bull varieties. Maybe it's a variety of pit bull. I'll see. It might be. No, not really. Unless they were really young. No, that wasn't it. Oh wait, maybe it was a type of pit bull. No, wait a second. I think it was this. Could it have been a pit bull? It kind of looked like this. Let's go to the Daily Paws, the 5 types of pit bull breeds. I'll see. Dan called the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. American. I think this is it. This was it. It was these guys. There were 2 of these. There were 2 of these. There were 2 of these, 2 American bullies. It was these guys. I'm convinced now. See, big dopey smile. I guess the head was a lot more olive shaped in my brain, but with little beady eyes. Yeah, it was 2 American bullies that the lady had. Well, there you go. That's exactly what they were. They were lovely dogs, just looked a little dopey. And I have nothing against people looking dopey. I mean, otherwise I'd have issues with myself, and maybe I already do. So I have no problems with that. I think the it's been resolved. The American bully was the dog. They were bullying my dog. They ganged up. They were two on him. And one was young. One was young. One was still very much a puppy. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you. Let's do the pitch part of the show and move on quickly because we've got some stuff to talk about, and here we go again. Warren spends a half hour talking about fucking bullshit outside of what he's supposed to talk about, which is pro wrestling, which is why we're here. Warren, yes, I know, I'm getting to it. Jesus Christ. He argues with some made up fan in his head. Anyway, just do it, Warren. Start talking about what you want to talk about. So this past weekend, if you are a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, you were well fed as far as early access to Warren Hayes recordings. Oh, goodness gracious me. This weekend you had you not only had the review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's The Beginning in Osaka, the New Beginning in Osaka 2026, which happened last Wednesday, but you also had a review of AEW Grand Slam Australia 2026. So I am not going to be talking about either show really on the stream tonight, if that's what you were tuning in for. Sorry to disappoint. However, if you did want to get the reviews, if you do want to hear me talk about both of those shows, well, hey, guess what? They are available right now for members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. So all you have to do is become a member of the channel and you get access to the early access. It's just as simple as that. Or you can wait a few days and they will be made available for everyone to enjoy, wherever you are, big or small, short or tall. It'll be available for everyone in a couple of weeks. Not a couple of weeks, a couple of days. I guess, look, some teaser elements. There's one show that I liked, that I substantially liked better than the other. And that would be the Grand Slam show. I thought the New Japan show was a mixed bag, and there's some stuff that ultimately I ended the show asking myself, will New Japan ever figure it out at this point? Because they are in the position to figure everything out. And now I'm wondering, will they ever figure it out? And I really, really hope they do. And then the Grand Slam show. Look, I mean, that was awesome, right? That was really, 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 really a terrific pro wrestling show. I've got very few problems with it. I think it continues AEW's extremely hot streak that they have going, that's been going for weeks at this point. Just quality show after quality show, just stuff happening and just exciting, top-notch pro wrestling, just featuring the best that this company has to offer. Just great stuff, honestly. Just great continuous stuff. And then on top of that, we had the Mark Briscoe Kyle Fletcher match, which was absolutely excellent. The ladder match, and I'm sitting here telling you, a guy who was completely exhausted when it came to ladder matches. I break down the whole match, but essentially, my thought on the ladder match was that the reason why I thought it was so successful is because the ladders were used as weapons as opposed to, things to fall off of or fly off of. The ladder, it was two guys having a fight, and then there were ladders they could use, and they used them to hurt each other, and it was tremendous. It really was tremendous. And no joke, I'm not even trying to be facetious or anything other than sincere here. The ladder brainbuster spot from Kyle Fletcher is unquestionably one of the absolute best high risk wrestling spots that I have ever seen. It was just like amazing stuff. I was completely breathless after it happened because it was extremely dangerous to do. I don't know if any of you watched the spot and then after processed how much could have gone wrong to the detriment of Mark Briscoe. There was so much that could have gone wrong. You know, Kyle, doesn't get doesn't fall off the ladder properly, or the ladder slips, or, Mark doesn't tuck his neck enough. Like there is so much stuff that could have gone so fucking wrong with that spot, but didn't. And Mark Briscoe basically said to Kyle Fletcher, let's do this spot. I don't know whatever happened, right? I am 100% putting my faith into you right now. You are such a pro at this. I have complete confidence that you're going to pull this off. It's crazy when you take a minute, just a few extra seconds to think about how badly things could have gone in that spot. Then you start to take you take a step back and you're like, holy shit, this really was one of the best spots ever. It was just awesome, folks. I don't know what to tell you. So it was awesome. And that's all you're going to get out of me. What are you doing? What are you doing trying to trick me out of why are you trying to trick me to give you free content from the pay side of things? What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm on to you. Pedro the Fifth, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Generico versus Steen had the best ladder matches. They had the best pretty much everything. Yes, me. DJ Convoy, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. Can you please bury the Iconics and the people who are yelling at me to give them a chance? We'll talk about the Iconics in a second. And I hate ladder matches. Look, Convoy, I think you and I think we're both on the same wavelength when it comes to ladder matches. But this one was really well done. Like this one, I got very, very, very little to complain about. This one was excellent. This was very good. Kristen Ashley, nice to see you, darling. Welcome to the chat. Also member of the channel. Holy smokes. I always wince if people's legs hit the ropes when suplexed off of ladders. Yeah, they just shouldn't do that, They just shouldn't do that. So there you go. Hey, Warren, if they show improvement, will you publicly apologize to Jesse McKay and Cassie Lee on air? Apologize for what? What did I do? Apologize for what? What did I do to them? I'm just expressing opinions here. I haven't even talked about them yet. What do I have to apologize when I haven't even talked about the fucking Iconics yet? The inspiration. No, I did last week. I did last week. Hey, hang on a second here. I'm not even finished my fucking commercial yet. So become a member of the channel and get early access to the reviews. They'll be available later this week. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show will be available on Wednesday per usual. Thursday, the Dynamite review, of course, will be back at that. as well. And Thursday is my birthday. I'm going to be streaming on my birthday, just so you know. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This is our doc kit for tonight. We've got some lovely little things to talk about. You know, when I was putting the show together, what's wrong with my voice? Jesus Christ. I'm not going to make it. My voice is not going to make it. So when I was putting the show together, when I was looking at the news and putting the docket together, when I started, I was cracking my knuckles and going, hell yeah. We got a lot to talk about tonight. And then I started going through the news. It's like there's really not all that much. You know, there's really not all that much like news, like actual stuff happening. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you know, this drama between MJF and Raj Giri is something that we need to devote, 30 minutes on. MJF completely roasted the guy, and he deserves it because Raj is an idiot. So that's all. So there you go. That's like 15 seconds on the show, right? It's like, what else are we going to talk about? So, we got a few things. We got some stuff set up. We'll see how far we'll see how far we'll go. And, yeah, because honestly, there's really not all that much going on, which is fine. It's all right. We don't necessarily need a full serving every time, then we can take a little more time discussing things that are a little off, right? There you go. Off the beaten path. Anyway, leave a like on this stream though, if you haven't already. Chances are you haven't, and I will hunt you down and I will destroy you in Minecraft. All right. Do you want us to talk about the icon? Look, we'll talk about the Iconics. Didn't I talk about them last week? I feel like I did, but listen, okay. Well, I think I talked about them under the auspice that AEW was interested in the Iconics, right? And I was like, but now they are signed. All reports are pointing to them being signed to AEW. Tony Khan decided to pick them up. And here's the thing, like the most amount of logic that I had that was provided to me by people who are pro icon. I keep calling them the Iconics, but look, you're gonna have to bear with me because I jump between the two, between the Inspiration and the Iconics. Okay, and there's one that rolls off the tongue, and the other one sounds like a drink I should be ordering at 3 a.m. Okay. The excuse that I kept hearing a lot, it's from people trying to find reasons as to why Tony Khan would hire them. And the one that came back the most is, it's to get the Australian pop, right? It's to get the Australian pop. And I sort of sit there and I shrug and I go, why would you need an Australian pop? Why would you need to bring someone in to do that when you've already got like some of your top stars in your company, actual people who have champions who are from Australia and who are figureheads of your company? Why do you feel compelled to bring someone in for the Australian pop? That is WWE thinking, because WWE, if they're not pushing this person from Australia, they're going to give them a mini push, right? In the 2-3 weeks before the event, they're going to put them on TV a little more, like they do with Buddy Murphy, like they did with the Iconics too. They'd give them little pushes, and they'd show up, or like what they did with the Witches, Coven, What the fuck did they call themselves? Kylie Ray and Isla Dawn. No, not Kylie Ray. What the Alba Fire. You know, for the fucking show in Carfax Abbey. Oh, it was Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula that we watched. That was the second fucking movie. There, I remembered. I'll be able to move on now. My brain is free. It was Bram Stoker's Dracula, and let me tell you, it's a great film. And I don't care what you, I don't care about anyone who gets nitpicky with it. Bram Stoker's Dracula fucking rules. Gary Oldman is tremendous. It's such a good film. Nothing like it was done at the time. And you know what? Nothing like it's been done since. Francis Ford knew what he was doing. An homage to the horror films of the 70s, the psychedelia. He was into it. Why didn't I text you? Because I wanted to figure it out by myself. I'm a grown-ass man, damn it. And Anthony Hopkins is so good in that too. The way he delivered, both he and Oldman, I feel like they had a contest. It's like who can deliver their lines in the most over-the-top way possible, yet maintaining the cool aspect for it, right? Tom Waits as Renfield as well. But, here's the thing, is that Renfield does jack shit in the movie. Like, he does nothing. Like, he just sits in his cell. Poor Tom Waits, but he's tremendous. But you would have, it would have been pretty cool for Renfield to do something, but he was just like, he was part of the scenery, ultimately. Anyway, what kind of maniac thinks that movie is bad? Brother, I was alive when this movie came out. When Bram Stoker's Dracula came out, I was alive, and I was a young adult, and I went to see that film with 3 or 4 other, art friends. This story for another time. And we went to the movies to see it all together. There was 4 of us, and I was the only one coming out of that film saying that was awesome. This was so cool. The other was like, the narrative was a little disconstructed towards the end. Not quite sure. What was he trying to do with the imagery? It all seemed a little low rent. I'm like, that's the idea. Obviously, it's a pastiche of the 1970s psychedelic type horror movies, right? And that's what I'm trying to tell these guys. And I even used the word pastiche because it made me sound smarter. And, it's the kind of thing that you have to use with this crowd to make it, to give yourself some credibility. So I'm using the word pastiche right and left, and they're like poo-pooing it. And, I think it's a movie that with age, people enjoy it more. I think that outside of the bubble in which it was released, I think now people sort of look at it and it's like, yeah, this was kind of visionary. It's kind of awesome. I think it was just a little before its time. I think it was just a little before its time. Because no one was expecting, the visuals were so striking and the interpretation of Dracula as this, the red robes and the hair shaped like an ass and all old and crumbly. We were just like, this was the era of fucking Anne Rice, right? In the Interview with the Vampire, and vampires are sexy and they're young and they're all they're dangerous, right? And now you have this interpretation of the greatest vampire of them all, right? Like the top of the line stuff, and they're like, what the fuck? Who is this Dracula? Makes no sense. He can walk outside in the sunlight during the day. That doesn't make sense, even though fucking Van Helsing in the movie says, people think that the vampires can't operate in the day, but they can. It's like, who cares? It doesn't. If it works in the universe of the movie, who gives a shit? And then when you think about it, 10 years after that, 10, 12 years after, people are going goo goo gaga over vampires that sparkle in the sunlight. People don't know what they want out of their vampire movies. Winona Ryder was great. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Winona Ryder is fantastic. I think she understood what this was all about. I think she really got it. Keanu was in his awkward phase. Let's put it that way. It may have been a little above his pay grade. So that one there, it may have been a little above his pay grade. Anyway. What did you think of Brightburn? Is that the evil Superman movie? The kid that comes to Earth but he's evil, right? I think I kind of like that. I think it was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that enough. Okay. I'm so glad that I was able to get all that out. But we're going to circle back to pro wrestling now, because that's what we were talking about. Specifically the Iconics. Why did I go off so hard? I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't remember what I was talking about. I don't know what I was trying to ease into. Oh yeah, we were talking about Australians, the need of Australians to go to an Australian show to get the Australian pop. You know, Toni Storm is one of the biggest fucking acts in the company, and she's from the area. Kyle Fletcher's from Sydney. Harley Cameron. We didn't need to force the Australians onto the show. The Australians on the show. The Australians are on the show because the Australians rule. You know, they're part of the fabric of AEW. They're not like WWE, who pulls them out of the closet when we need to get local and then puts them back in the closet, right? Like, don't you? I think we all remember what they did with. That was the thing when I thought about Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, and somehow that connected. that was the fuse that lit in my. Oh, because in my mind, the girl who played Lucy in the Bram Stoker Dracula. Now everything's coming together. I remember just thinking in the back of my head, she kind of reminds me of Isla Dawn. There you go. That full fucking circle. This is why everything connects. That's because I was talking about Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and that's what, boom, just had Bram Stoker's Dracula come back to me, because the girl who plays Lucy in the Dracula movie reminded me of Isla Dawn. What a great wrestling stream so far, guys and gals and pals. It's just been great. Anyway, who cares at this point? Who cares about my fucking dopey point? Look, it was stupid to think that Tony needed to bring in Australians to get a big Australian pop. That's nonsense to me. Now, we did take the scenic route to make that connection. Yes, yeah, we absolutely did it. It was a perilous drive. Let me tell you, sinewy road on the side of a cliff. You know, and it's just one lane, and you're hoping no one is coming towards you from the other direction. So the Silver Apocalypse, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, brother. Also, just happens to be a member of the channel on top of that. Okay, now we got to focus. Now we got to talk about wrestling for real here. So I've made my opinions very clear. Back when it was still rumors that the Iconics that there was interest in AEW for the Iconics. I made my opinions very clear. I don't think these wrestlers are particularly good. I don't think they're good wrestlers. Do they bring some type of entertainment value for a good chuckle and whatnot? Well, I guess yes, but I think like everyone remembers their WWE stuff very fondly, right? That from which came my nostalgia rant from a couple of weeks ago. And I'm not going to do it over. You can just find it and go watch it. But I think it's important to point out here that there's a lot of nostalgia, I believe, that is going into this idea of the Iconics, right? Because if they were so great, so funny and whatnot, why wasn't anyone watching them in TNA Impact? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because it wasn't very good. Because they're not very good. And maybe the jokes and the that charisma that they had, that comedy that they had, maybe it's all kind of evaporated now. Look, if you at the very least, and I know a lot of you here watched the first Impact show on AMC, the TNA Impact show on AMC, because you were here with me suffering through that. The match they had with the Elegance ladies was bad. It was a bad match. They were average wrestlers at best in WWE, and they were buoyed by their sports entertainment chops. That's what kept them afloat. And I know everyone's kind of like, everyone has fond memories, and even myself, I thought it was funny too. The "you got to be joking me" line from Billy Kay. I don't know what the new name is, right? I know that was funny, but what are we excited to hear say that in AEW? Why? Because it's tired now. It's turned into a say the line Bart type of situation. Like I don't necessarily want to dogpile on everything related to the Iconics, because it really doesn't bother me all that much. I don't think it's a good signing. I also think that I also think that it's going to be inconsequential. I think this is a grade A collision act. Like, this is perfect for your third hour, your third quarter hour of collision, where you just got to drop some stuff in before heading into the fourth quarter hour, which is an important one. It's fine. And there's been so much ridiculous discourse around it as well, that goes really too far. And I don't feel like contributing to that. I don't feel like giving the impression that I'm contributing to that, because I could sit here and bury them. I feel it'd be fairly easy, but there's nothing here. Like there's nothing here that gets me excited. In fact, there's what's happening here is, it makes me wonder what kind of vision Tony Khan has for his division. If there's one thing that I've been saying rather consistently for the past couple of weeks when talking about the women in AEW and the women's division specifically, is that there's a very sharp fall off from the upper crust of talent within the company and everyone else. You'd expect a company's talent, to sort of dwindle down like this. No, like, you've got your top players, your top wrestlers. You got Mercedes Moné and Tony and whatnot, and there's little, it goes down slightly, but ever so slightly. But then you reach a point, it just drops, and we're just adding to that pool. We're adding to the bottom of the cliff, as opposed to adding to the top of the cliff. That's ultimately my main problem, right? That's my main problem, ultimately, because look, you want to know what my prediction is? You want to know what my gut feeling is? These two are going to get lined up with RJ City. And they're going to be the perfect candidates for RJ City's type of vision for his vision of sports entertainment, his vision of comedy, and they're going to fit right in, and they're going to do bits, and there's going to, and they're going to do things that people are going to think is hilarious, and there's a fair chance that people like me are going to be extremely annoyed. And that's legitimately what's going to happen. That's legitimately what's going to happen. I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked at this hiring. I'm just a little shocked. And I know like, it's like, well, you want a tag team division? Well, here's a tag team. I'm like, okay, I have a tag team division. Let's bring in the Rock and Roll Express at this stage of the game. You know what I mean? Like, there's always like there's a quality barometer to all of this as well, right? It's not just like, oh, you want, it's like if someone says, I want ice cream. Well, it's a kid says I want ice cream. I want ice cream. I want ice cream. And then your dad sort of scoops out some fucking old ice cream that's been in the freezer for like 5 years. It's hard and it's full of ice crystals and it's terrible. And you put it on a cone and say, here, you wanted ice cream? Here's ice cream. Well, yes. Okay. So I have ice cream, but it's not great ice cream. It's not exactly good ice cream, It's like, like I said, I don't want to sit here and bury them. And I'm just, I'm definitely not as upset as so many people online who, you'd swear like they had just hired Phil Mushnick to come do play-by-play on a wrestling show kind of thing. I have no issues with this in the sense that it's a hiring and whatnot. And like in the grand scheme, they're a hiring. Let's see what they do. If it doesn't turn out, if it doesn't work out, just flush them, right? I just think they could be doing so much better than the AEW could be doing so much better than this. They could be signing much more interesting women than this. They were in Australia. They just came back from Australia. They were in Australia, and Charlie Evans is right there. Like, Charlie Evans is literally right there, and she has always been solid. Like, Jessica Troy, who has been at this for so long. You want a tag team? You want 2 Australians to come in as a tag team and do stuff? There you go. Just pair them up. Pull a High-End and Maya World. High-End and Maya World weren't exactly tag team specialists with each other before getting hired. That was just happenstance. It was a happy accident, That's essentially what it was. I think there's overall better qualities here. I also understand that this will be a year where there's likely going to be a lot of talent turnover in AEW at the same time. I think this is a year where there might be a bunch of people that maybe you're not quite expecting that will be that whose contracts will not be renewed and whatnot. So, there's spots opening up. So coming in and filling them up is interesting. But I don't know. A former WWE act that even WWE fans got tired of, and we're bringing those folks in, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like Tony's been picking up a lot of the WWE cast-offs recently. Not going to sit here and do a rant on, now he's bringing in WWE people right and left, and, not doing that. We're absolutely not doing that. But you do kind of see a little bit where this is going, type of thing, right? So, I'm not going to, I just can't sit here and necessarily bury them. And look, here's the only thing that I can hope for. Okay. Here's the thing that I can only hope for. If maybe this will be the environment in which Jesse and Kayla, I don't know their names, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. Maybe this is the environment in which they are literally going to thrive. Maybe everywhere else they've been, they were. I love that you guys keep correcting me, and I thank you for telling me. But I'm not going to learn. I'm always going to forget them. I'm sorry. It's like the Io Shirai bit. And I call it a bit, but it's not even a bit. Io Sky just doesn't stick. It just doesn't stick. Anyway, I can only hope that this is the environment where they can thrive, right? In this collaborative, creative environment in which wrestlers have a lot more autonomy or oversight on what they do, and they're not just catering to the whims of, one septuagenarian, completely billionaire who is completely disconnected from reality. Or, that they're not trying to cater to, to wrestlers who are completely past their prime and trying to reconnect with things that happened when they were hot, and also at the same time trying to copy what used to be enjoyed by the disconnected billionaire septuagenarian. Maybe here we'll have a blossoming of these two wrestlers, and something will uncork, and they will become the next Jumping Bomb Angels. They won't. Or at the very least, their presence will be very entertaining, and you'll get some jokes off, and it'll be fun. But it also seems to me like I was very well served with Harley Cameron. Did I need more yucks on my wrestling show? Not necessarily. I thought we had enough. We had just enough levels of comedy, I find, on AEW before it becomes obnoxious. Now I think we're starting to tread into obnoxious territory. I think we're going to get there. According to Fightful Select, the two signed multi-year deals with the promotion, and their arrival had been a foregone conclusion for the past month. So, they were wanted, they were expected, they wanted in. Cassie Lee and Jesse McKay. I'll try to remember them. But I'm not making any promises. But I always feel like in these types of circumstances, I think there's a lot of people who are, I think the overall reaction to this from a lot of wrestling fans is really, really overboard. It's really, really overboard. If they run in and start beating everyone, and they start beating Tony Storm, and they start beating, Mercedes Moné and Willow and all of the top women in the company. And then I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is a little strange. This is a little weird. This is a little counterproductive. This is not good type of thing. I might be, but I have no indications that they're going to do this. Put the tag belts on them. Put the tag belts on them. It's fine at this point. It's like, the tag team tournament, the women's tag team tournament wasn't exactly great. It's kind of dopey. Thankfully, in the meantime, in the defenses, things have been a little better. I'm not going to sit here and pile on them some more. There's no reason to. And I think at this point, it's more a question of let's see, let's get them on TV. Let's have them do things. And then we'll criticize or we'll praise or do a little bit of both at this point here, because there's no avoiding it. And no, I would not have signed them. I would not have signed the inspiration in 2026. I wouldn't have signed the inspiration in 2020 either. Not going to lie. Like, if anything, if you were to tell me this is these are a couple of wrestlers who are just waiting for the time to go back to WWE, I'd believe you. 100% believe you. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's not great. It's not great. And it's been a very contentious couple of days in the wrestling sphere of social media, and everyone needs to calm the fuck down. You'd swear we had hired war criminals. It's just a couple of Australian girls. It's like, okay, it really doesn't matter. I have to think that Tony and RJ have some fleshed out creative for them that they're excited about. I mean, yes. And to be completely honest, that's kind of what worries me. But listen, we'll see how things go. Slam Hub Wrestling, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Waiting for Lyra Valkyria to join the Brawling Birds and they become the inaugural Women's Trios champions. I don't know about that. D. Owens, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel on top of it all. Is there not a vast array of wrestlers not doing anything Tony could have thrown together to make a team? If they're just intended to job, at least get decent workers. I can't disagree with that logic. It's like I said, if you want to hire a couple of free agent Australians, Jessica Troy and Charlie Evans, just pick them up, put them in a tag team, slap them together, and that's it. There you go. And those are very, very good workers, actually, that you might even consider pushing, right? Like, what's the appeal of the Iconics, folks? What's the appeal of the Iconics? Their personality, the fact that they were a popular mid-card, very, very mid-card act. What, 6 years ago at this point? 7 years ago? That was essentially the rant I was going on, where I was talking about when I was talking about all these wrestlers still going around doing the same thing they've been doing for years without changing anything up, without just being always the same thing, like the Rascals too. It's like it's always been the same thing. Like, this is not fresh. It's reheated. It's going back to Vince's well here. Mid card is generous. Well, I'm trying my best here. Try not to be too mean. But that's the other thing. It's like, outside of a couple of jokes, outside of a couple of funny lines and some funny clips, what have the Iconics, what have they legitimately brought to the business? What have they legitimately brought to pro wrestling? They've never drawn money. The Iconics never drew. Like, we're bringing, like, if you just look at it objectively, we're bringing in an old ass act from years ago that was mid at best, that was never known for its exciting in-ring competition. And you're just bringing in the act for what? For more ha-has? Then in the meantime, I'm on the Dynamite reviews and I'm talking about how great the show is because there's minimal nonsense and everything is great and the wrestling is dynamic and fresh and everyone is into it and it's all trickling down from the top from the excellent world title picture right now. And then you're gonna bring in You Gotta Be Joking Me Girl and her friend. I mean, would Charlie Evans and Jessica Troy draw? No, but the point is that Charlie Evans and Jessica Troy are objectively better workers. They are objectively better workers. And the thing that we all have to keep in mind here is that in AEW, there is a higher working standard expected from the fans than there is in WWE, or name your promotion of choice here. So a duo like Charlie Evans and Jessica Troy would have better opportunity, would have a stronger chance of getting themselves over because of their work than anything else. That actually happens in AEW. It's happened, right? Konosuke Takeshita is an example. Jamie Hayter's an example, and there's others, right? Those are just the two off the top of my head. But people who were never on the stick, never cut promos, but got themselves wildly over because they're great in the ring, right? So the working standard being what it is and the expectation of AEW fans is much higher. Shtick, you got to be careful with the shtick in AEW because it can blow up in your face. It can get dangerous. And unless you're someone like Tony Storm, who is just all around supremely talented, a lot of shtick's not going to work. Mercedes Moné tried to do variants of her character by laying it in too thick with the sports entertainment stuff, and that almost blew up in her face until she finally struck the balance and sort of realized, or just came around to it and said, okay, I got to wrestle here to get over. I got to do what I do best here. Can't just go around, cutting weird promos backstage. I got to do stuff here. And that got her over. It wasn't the fact that she was coming to the ring and saying, I am the CEO and all that stuff. The WWE tricks weren't working. I'm just going to be curious to see what they do with these two. Because they are not Tony Storms. I'm sorry to say. They're not Tony Storms, neither of them. That's one thing that Vince never figured out. He figured that, it's like everyone can do comedy, everyone can do comedy, everyone can do slapstick, everyone can sing, everyone can dance. And then he'd have them do comedy and dancing and songs and all this bullshit, but then only once in a while it would work when you'd actually have people who would have like the comedic timing to make it happen, or the people who could actually dance and make it look good, for it to work. But Vince just thought he could like stick anyone into that gimmick and it's like sink or swim. But that's not using your talent to their strengths, right? We got to stop thinking that, they're going to be funny. We're going to put them in the spot and be funny. I always referred back to the spots. You remember when you had Montez Ford back in the day with the early on when the Street Profits had been called up. You had Montez Ford, being funny, right? You had funny mannerisms and physical comedy guy and cut little quips during promo. So what did they do at some point? They're like, hey, why don't you guys do like a Weekend Update SNL type of thing, right? Do you remember this? And they had the Street Profits behind a desk doing the gimmick, the Weekend Update gimmick from Saturday Night Live with, shirt and tie and behind the desk and cutting lines, on current events and stuff. But it didn't work. It didn't work because you need a funny comedian for that shit to work. Someone who understands the craft, who knows how to deliver jokes, who understands timing. So they were not bad, but it came across as a high school production because They're not trained comedians. And I will always remember that. I think they did that 2 weeks and they never did it ever again because it stunk. Because it was awkward. And it's like, just let the street profits, just let Montez Ford do fucking frog splashes. That's all people want to see anyway. That's all people want to see. We don't want to see them pretend to be Norm Macdonald. It's not what that's not what we want to see here. Anyway. I mean, I'm all down for the old ex-Eve to be in AEW. Imagine Viper, Alba, and Lyra. You know, Kylie Ray was a phenomenal performer. She was great. She really, really, really was great. The risks the woman took with her body was tremendous. Poor Viper. I hope she's okay. I hope she's healing up. Anyway. Hope she's all right. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on. Anyway, that's where we're at. They've been signed for a few years and so on and so forth. Here's some interesting news, but also, is it news? Let's read the article off of the Figure 4 online, the Wrestling Observer. Got Josh Nason here who wrote up a little article about a CNN report. Well, here it is. This is what in a story released Saturday discussing the role politics is taking in both WWE and AEW. A sentence in the middle of the article confirmed what has been known for some time, that WBD owns a portion of AEW. The article on CNN's website, an entity also owned by WBD, wrote within a paragraph that, quote, Warner Bros. Discovery, CNN's parent corporation, owns a minority stake in AEW. AEW head Tony Khan has been asked about this for years on media calls, but he has never confirmed or denied it. In those non-confirms, Khan has made a point to note that he owns 100% of the decision-making within AEW. The question of how much WBD owns has not been answered, but if it were more than 10%, they would need to disclose that, as they are a publicly traded company. It's also unclear what rights they have within that ownership, whether the percentage they own has increased with the latest media rights deal, and what would happen to the shares of AEW, what would happen to the shares if AEW was to move to another media entity. So this is all nice and dandy. I mean, I don't quite understand though. I feel like we've been down this road not that long ago. Is it just me? Like, wasn't there a couple of months ago? Wasn't there a Hollywood Reporter article that flat out said, you know, that flat out said that that Warner Bros. Discovery was a minority owner in AEW. Yes, that is correct. I have it right here. I have it right here. What wasn't even a couple of months ago. It was in January, right? Is that it? I do have the article right here. When was this article published? Yeah, it was in January, right? And yeah, see, look, it still has my my annotations here. Here, right here. Though WBD and AEW will never say this aloud because at a less than 10% stake, they don't legally have to. WBD owns a minority position in the latter. That position will remain with the Global Linear Networks piece following the split and spin and the close of the Warner Bros. Sale to Netflix, a source tells The Hollywood Reporter. So I'm like, what is the news from the CNN thing? Why are we? Here's the thing. Why are people going nuts about it? I feel like this has been pretty much common knowledge, right? Or did I completely miss something? Is there something that just doesn't make any sense to me? But I feel like not only do I feel, I know that this has been the case. Because look, I just read the article that was published in January. It was just published in January, and it has something, it was stuff that was popping up through the sale, the potential sale to Netflix, and people were asking all sorts of questions and wondering what the hell was going on, right? And we talked about it. We talked about it right here on stream. So, I'm glad that CNN is just another source to sort of hammer this home, but I'm like, I guess the idea here is that a lot of people assumed that this was the case, and a lot of people, I think, wanted it to be more. I think what people wanted was to demonstrate that AEW was completely owned by its media partner, or in majority, right? Which would not be well perceived, because that would mean that you would be at the whims of your media partner, who could shut it down in a blink if they were just fed up, right? As opposed to being owned by Tony Khan like it is right now, where Tony, that's his project, it's his thing, it's his company, it's his baby. He's going to see it through. He's going to want to make that work out. He's going to stick with it, right? Through thick and thin. So, I'm kind of like ambivalent to this. I'm like, a lot of people screaming at the from the rooftops like, hey, it's confirmed. I'm like, yeah. And here's truly the thing, though. Here's the real part, is that Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics, he had smelt this like from miles away a long time ago, and I will remember this, where he's like, you know what? I kind of think Warner Bros. owns a share of the company here. And boy, oh fucking boy, was he dragged over coals. No, it's not owned by W. It's the Khans, because these people don't understand how ownerships work, right? Where you can have multiple owners of a company, of a corporation, of a legal body like this, a corporation, but that doesn't mean everyone makes the same decision. That doesn't mean everyone decides on how it goes. There were multiple owners of WWE for years. That's what shareholders are, folks. You're owning shares of a company, and the one who has the most shares is like the guy who calls the shots in the company. And that was Vince McMahon for years and years and years and years. But there were multiple owners of WWE. Multiple. That's how it works. Now, you can argue that it's different with AEW because it's a private company, and you are correct. It's not the same exact thing. It's not a one-to-one comparison. But the example stands nonetheless, because even in private corporations, you can still have boards of directors. You can still have multiple ownerships and whatnot. You can have shareholders that exist. It's just the stocks are not traded publicly. So it's another type of dividend that gets that gets submitted to shareholders and stockholders at various intervals. So you've got, right. So ultimately, you have in this circumstance, Brandon Thurston, who not only was right in January when the Hollywood Reporter stuff came out, But he's doubly right now that CNN has like straight up confirmed it. And a lot of fucking people owe Brandon Thurston an apology, where he was just like reporting what his gut was telling him, where he was like, yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. And people just took that as some kind of affront, which is completely bonkers, right? Which is just like completely wild. Now, why would it be an affront, you may ask? Well, because kind of like I mentioned very briefly, that would imply to a certain degree that AEW can't exist on its own without its media partner being an owner of the company. And people didn't like that. They liked the idea of AEW being independent and being able to switch around and move wherever they want to get the best deal and so on and so forth, right? That's always been their thing. That's the contention. And it's not, it's not completely untrue as far as analysis goes, but it's a lot more nuanced than that, because having your media partner have a stake in your company also incites it gives them the incentive of wanting your company to work better, so to work well, so they can turn a profit, so that they can get a little something extra out of their investment. So, they'll do things to they might put you in circumstances and spots where you will be privileged, where you'll have better access to prime time, sponsorships, maybe even partnerships, cross promotions, stuff like that. Warner Bros, by being an owner on the other side, being, even if it's a small sub 10% ownership stake, they still want to be able to maximize the effort that they or the money that they're putting into the company, right? Into AEW. So, as it's asked right now in the chat, is WBD owning a portion of AEW supposed to be bad, good, or just business? I'm not a tip top, big corporate officer, type of guy who understands like all of these very intricate levels. But, when you have multiple owners within a company, it's always a double-edged sword. Why would you allow another company to be part owner of your company? Well, because they are going to inject capital into your into your organization, right? And in return, they are going to get dividends that you pay back to your shareholders and multiple owners. When you are profitable, when you make a lot of money, then that's when the stakeholders get some money back, right? That's essentially how it works. So the thing you have to be careful of is that, then there's other people with their fingers in the pudding that maybe sometimes you don't want them to be around. You don't want their fingers in the pudding, and that can cause conflicts. There can be things like takeovers and stuff like that, But if you maintain good relationships and things go well, normally, and everyone makes money, well, no one's going to complain if everything's going well and everyone's making money, Why would AEW do this? That's another very good question. Why would they allow, less than 10% of the company to be owned by outsiders? Excellent question. And I think it's just as simple as, whatever happened, that was something that was negotiated. Was it negotiated at this deal here or the previous deal or whatever deal, I couldn't tell you. But Warner Bros and AEW came to an agreement that for the money that Warner Bros Discovery was going to pump into the company for the amount of the media deal, whether it's this one, whether it's the previous one or one before that, in exchange for the money on top of that, AEW was like, well, I'll give you a little share of the company as well. You'll have an ownership, a slim ownership stake that you won't have to declare to the SEC because it is less than 10%. It represents less than 10% ownership of my company. So, you'll get your beak wet, get the money, so on and so on. Like, these are just terms of negotiations. It's probably something, look, again, like, I'm not necessarily an expert here, but I would assume that it's fairly commonplace for these high amounts of money. Doesn't the NFL have a stake in ESPN? Am I misremembering? Chat, can you fact check that? But it seems to me like the NFL has a stake in ESPN with the amount of money that ESPN is shedding for pro football. You'd think that, and the NFL, like, the ESPN would be like, would be like, well, these are the amounts, and somehow we've had ownership rights that have been negotiated, right? I'm assuming this is fairly common practice. If we would talk to someone who is much more into the business of sports than I am, I'm sure they'd immediately tell me, oh yeah, this happens quite often, quite frequently. This is not something out of the ordinary. And usually what does that mean? What does this mean? Is like, well, if I give you, I don't know, like 7% of my company, well, then how much more money can you give me? Because that's usually how it'll go. So, it's a double-edged sword where there's a lot of advantages for growth and cash influx and, ensuring a close working relationship. It also explains why Tony has always been very cagey when people talk about, exploring with other media institutions for their other shows, right? Like, why couldn't Ring of Honor be on? Couldn't you put Ring of Honor on Tubi, for instance, or the Shockwave show on Fox and all that? And he's been very cagey about working with other networks, and especially when talking about the last media deal, he'd always put over how he wants to work with Warner Bros. And he wants to stay with Warner Bros. He wants to do his best for everyone to work out. And Mr. Zaslav is a great boss and all that. I guess there's a full circle moment here at the same time where maybe it's like, yeah, I don't want to go fuck around elsewhere because I'm in a really good standing with Warner Bros. Discovery. And this is the deal that I have right now. And they're invested in my company, so I'm not going to do them dirty and go create content for other networks. Doesn't that make a lot of sense? It can also explain, maybe there's other factors at work here, but at the very least, it can explain why most pay-per-view coverage in the United States has now been centralized onto HBO Max, where in the US, you don't have access to ppv.com anymore. You don't have access to Triller anymore. You got, it's internationally that you can have access to those. So, all of these things, it all sort of coalesces and starts making sense in that regard. Where you're like, well, okay, this all makes sense. But I kind of feel like we had this conversation not that long ago. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, but it seems like people are now considering this like actual factual news when it was actual factual news a few months ago through the Hollywood Reporter. Apparently, Brandon Thurston said something to the effect that that the Hollywood Reporter had added the thing about the ownership based off of stuff that Brandon had written or said. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it's a full apparently, but I haven't heard it. That's what trustworthy sources have told me when we were talking about it. There you go. So yeah, so to answer the question from the chat, is it good news or is it bad news? I don't think it changes much. I think it just ensures that I think it ensures that Warner Bros. Has an interest in AEW. It will help, the success that they have and the amount of money that they're able to get back on this investment will help in negotiations moving forward if Warner Bros. Continues to actually be a company moving forward and they're not swallowed up by anyone else. Yeah, I mean, like we said, they're not a majority. They don't hold a majority stake. It's a very, very slim portion of the ownership. So, it's not that big a deal. But I guess the one thing to wrap this up is, Tony Khan saying, that I own 100% of the decisions, all the decision making comes from me and whatnot. And he said this before, and yet nonetheless, Warner Bros. Has been reported at a couple of instances to have stepped in to keep certain things from happening, like putting Jay Briscoe on television. Remember last week when people were assuming that Warner Bros. Were keeping Brody King off of television. Remember that? That turned out to be false. But the Jay Briscoe stuff, that was never contested. So, whether it's true or not, and especially like I said last week, whether the statement they put out about Brody King is true or not as well, right? Because again, these are corporations, companies, throwing PR out. You're not inclined to, I would say, as I said last week when we were talking about it, keep a healthy amount of skepticism in these types of situations. And there is such a thing as being a healthy skeptic. And, you can take the stuff at face value or you can be just a little on the iffy side. And I always prefer to be a little on the iffy side. But let's take it all at face value. If indeed Warner Bros., their statement was indeed true, they had nothing to do with Brody King being off of television last week. And if there was nothing, but if they came out and said that, but have never said a thing about Jay Briscoe being kept off of TV because executives didn't want him because of things that he had posted in 2010 or said in 2010, then maybe they do have some sort of influence. And even if they're not decision makers in the company, maybe Tony Khan, not being a complete buffoon, understands that I have to keep these people happy because this environment is so volatile. The media landscape is so cuckoo crazy that I want to keep some strong, secure partnerships with the people at the top. Even if they're not making decisions, I'll make the decision, but maybe I'll get a call from an executive saying, hey, that one wrestler you want to put on TV, we did a little due diligence. And it turns out he said some pretty bad slurs back in 2010. We don't want to deal with that. We can't make the decision for you, but the network will frown upon this type of thing. It's like when you make a bad decision in Fallout, the Legion did not like that. It's one of those types of situations where you have to decide, well, I'm going to do this, but then, Mr. House I'll stay on the good side of Mr. House type of thing. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. There's all sorts of things that can there's a lot of things that can happen actually. So yeah. So there you go. I mean, that's the long and short of it. I don't know what else to add here. Like I said, I feel like we've talked about the ownership situation not that long ago, and here we are again. And but look, you know, as long as the word gets out there and people can start apologizing to Brandon, that's all that matters. Have you seen What Culture's YouTube thumbnail about WBD owning AEW? I did see it. The Brit sheets are at it again. Tough times right now. Tough times for the Brit sheets. I'll tell you, because listen, right now there's a very popular sentiment in WWE fans, amongst WWE fans, that you know, the product's not that great. Tickets are expensive. Triple H might not be all he's cracked up to be. There's a lot of pent up frustration. And then on the flip side, a lot of these Brit sheets are handled by WWE fanboys and girls. So now they're in this conundrum where less people are probably reading positive puff articles about WWE, and articles that have a little more critical spin on it are probably more popular, but then they can't bring themselves to say bad things about WWE. And I think they're look, I would assume at this point, the anti-AEW grift has got to have hit a ceiling. It has to be diminishing returns at this point, especially in an era right now, in a period that we're in right now. She said era, more like a period right now, where AEW is, you can feel it. It's warming up. It's getting hot again. You know, Tony said what? You know, with that one goofy Tony Khan screen cap, you know, the one I'm talking about, where he's angry, you know, that the one that they all use, that one. WBD owns AEW. You got Tony. I can't imagine that's a big driver. Look, again, like I know, listen, I'm going to give you just a quick example. I'm a micro-sized contributor to the world of pro wrestling media and content and whatnot, right? Like but ever since AEW has been on this uptick, all of my metrics have been pointing up. I've been talking about this a couple of weeks, and I know maybe some of you are like, oh, fuck off, Warren, stop humble bragging. But it's like, I'm not humble bragging. You know, it's not like suddenly I'm doing like these stellar numbers. Yeah, last month I was doing 110 viewers on the live stream. Now I'm doing 5,000 live concurrent. You know, it's like, we're not doing those kinds of jumps. But nonetheless, like, everything has progressed for me. I've seen these numbers improve. So that to me is really good. I'm pretty proud of that. But that also means that right now, I think the overall vibe is arrows pointing up for AEW, and I think that's just across the board. Sentiment, feeling, I think business metrics are, you know, not like these great jumps again, but everything is pointing upward. Yeah, at this point, it's just bragging. It's not even humble bragging. At this point, might as well just open up YouTube Studio and show you all my numbers at this point. Am I right, fellas? Just who cares at this point? You want to see how much I make in a month? I don't make much. I don't. The day I start taking selfies of myself and posting them on Instagram of me and my Bentley, then you'll know we've gone too far. Then we'll know that this shit has gone too far. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony offered them a bid in the company in the very beginning to get on the air. Not at the very beginning. At the very beginning, AEW was on an ad split. AEW was on the ad split. You will recall that they signed their first deal and they were on an ad split, but then it was just like it was within the first year, right? Where I can't remember his name, but the executive who was at Warner Bros. At the time, who was really into it, like AEW was overperforming, and they tore up the deal. They tore up the ad split deal, and they signed them to a proper media deal, like months within the first year, which was kind of unprecedented. Everyone was like, "Holy shit! It's a great sign of success," and AEW's been has been cruising since then. So maybe from that point on, yes, maybe from that deal on, or maybe it's just since this deal. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I really don't know. But at first, we must never forget that AEW was on an ad split, which is it's hard for me to make fun of TNA on their alleged ad split deal because we still don't know what it is. No one's digging, and no one in the industry is talking, which is wild. Like there hasn't been like a report on the Hollywood Reporter or Variety, just from someone outside the fucking wrestling bubble, just going, "Oh yeah, my source at the AMC told me this," because these people have real sources within these networks, within these companies, right? It's like, "Oh yeah, he told me that in passing," never said anything. So that's why I can't laugh at AEW at TNA when it's an ad split. First of all, the ad split is immediately more money than what they were making at Anthem. Never forget how much money TNA was making at Anthem. $0. They were making zero. They were just a content factory for their boss, for their owners, I should say. That's all they were. They weren't making any revenue. They weren't making any money. They weren't bringing in any money off of, they were making money with ticket sales and whatnot, but I mean like for media deal, they were doing zero. They were creating the content for free for their network. The network was like, "We'll put you on TV, but we're not going to pay you. You can make your money, but we'll put you on TV, but you figure it out." Why? Because Anthem didn't have the money. That's why. Hey, fuck your mama. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, by the way. It's interesting because the grifter said a few weeks ago that WBD was being used as a shield for the Trey Miguel firing. It sounds like a TV deal. It sounds like a TV deal thing we get a minority stake. Yeah, I agree. I had already forgotten about the Trey Miguel stuff, but yeah, I mean, that was brought up. And you would be hard pressed to not look. You'd bear with me here. Okay, we're going to go down a bit of a hypothetical here. Close your eyes. Imagine back in, imagine a few years ago when Tony Khan has got his claws in the Briscoes and he wants to bring the Briscoes on AEW, but let's assume the stories are true. That because of, the liberal use of the F slur from Jay Briscoe, like a decade ago, that particular set of circumstances forced WBD to tell AEW, we don't want this guy on TV because he said these things, he posted these things, whatever, and that's going to come back to bite us, and we don't want anything to do with that. We want to avoid any and all headaches. So Tony's like, okay, well, at least I can hire them and put them on Ring of Honor because they have no oversight on Ring of Honor. Like, that is the assumed situation. It's the one that everyone feels is the closest to reality. That Warner Bros. Said that Tony Khan wanted the Briscoe brothers on television. I mean, Mark and Jay, not, the other Briscoe brothers. He wanted Mark and Jay on TV. But Warner Bros. Said no because of what Jay said back in the day. Fast forward to today, and Trey Miguel also has a past of posting, tweeting things with slurs as well. Very poor choices of words. Let's say it happened with Jay Briscoe, excuse me. Is it so far-fetched that it wouldn't have... Is it so far-fetched that it wouldn't also apply to Trey Miguel? I think there's it's consistent at the very least. Whether it's true or not is still something people can debate. That's fine. All I'm saying is that it's consistent. I don't think there has been, and I could be wrong. And chat, look, if I'm wrong, you'll surely let me know. But I don't think there has been another hiring from AEW that has brought in people that have said, awful things, that have used slurs either in promos, on TV, or for real, or on social media, on Twitter posts, and so on and so forth, right? I don't think there's anyone else that has that type of content that's been following them around. I don't think. So if anything, it's consistent. Tony Khan goes, I'm bringing these guys in, and then just someone in WBD, someone in the legal department, just like, a new hiring. It's just like, gets the contract or whatever, gets an email. Could you just run a check on Trey Miguel? Here are his socials. Clickety clack. And it's like, oh, well, this guy's banned. We don't want this guy, So, it's like, Tony Khan wanted him. He wanted all four guys. We know he wanted all four guys. He hired all four guys. They all had contracts. But Trey Miguel's contract was yoink. And that fucking sucks. It sucks, man. Like, regardless, right? And especially when it came to Jay Briscoe back in 2010, like everyone was fucking edgy on the internet. Everyone was just doing edgy bullshit back in the day. It's like it's not as if he was going around like actually working for a racist administration and doing photo ops with them and whatnot, right? He just, anyway, I don't want to open that can of worms, but I kind of think it sucks. It kind of sucks that, an environment in which the morals an environment that existed at a time from which morals have evolved and changed so much will still come back to haunt you, especially when you're a guy like Jay Briscoe, who literally had an apology tour. He at every opportunity, he would open up and beg people for forgiveness and say it was wrong. And then you had so many people back him up after. You had prominent gay wrestlers at the same time say, no, you know what, Jay Briscoe, top-notch guy. You had Effie, who stuck his neck out for him and whatnot. Everyone was just like, no, this guy is so chill. And, he's, it is what it is, right? And it's still a shame that Jay Briscoe never got on national TV proper, because that guy was wildly talented. That guy would have been a superstar. Such a shame. Zachary Wentz did a certain emote. Yeah, but it was also demonstrated that he was coerced by someone in a power of authority to take that picture, and that person used that picture to blackmail him, which he actually did use to blackmail him at one occasion. And then when Wentz's ex-wife started having meltdowns on Twitter, when she was having an actual breakdown on Twitter in regards to Wentz and their marriage, the aforementioned coach sent the picture to her so that she could post it on the internet just to fuck with him. And it did, and it got him fired from WWE. So this was all a conspiracy against him. And, you know, I'm kind of glad that he has, I'm happy for him that he has a proper big time job again and that he can make a little money, because that was crazy unfair. That was extremely unfair. Everything that happened to him. Well, there you go. There you go. Is it really like 20-10 already? And we've only talked about the ownership and the inspiration. Oh, Lord. Lighten the mood a little bit here. Want to find out what Mercedes Moné has been up to?
So I've been really trying to enjoy this time off by really healing my body and
which is a good idea. She should be. She's working hard.
Taking care of myself, because I want to come back to the ring better than ever. I'm going to be very busy in March because I still have a lot of championships to defend. Yes.
To lose.
Yes, I defend my titles.
Like you remember when we were talking about this, and I'm going to avoid going too deep into this until the whole thing is actually done, right? But you remember when we were talking about when she was collecting all the belts, right? When she was becoming when she was becoming Ultimo Moné, right? And I was saying, oh yeah, she's getting all of these belts from these little spots, but you know, she's probably going to just like, you know, vacate a bunch of them. You know, she's not going to go back and lose them, right? Well, you know, she's got the Betcha one. Which one is the Betcha? Is that the one in Poland? Is it the Polish one? The Betcha title? She's got that one lined up. She's got the one in Winnipeg lined up. And she's losing those. Like, she's going in to drop those titles. She's got a CMLL match set up for in a couple of weeks in March. Her opponent is still TBD, but she's already set up for losing her CMLL title as well. The Bestia is the Italian. It might be, so it's the Italian one she's going to drop. Bestia is the one she's going to drop. Has she been set for the House of Glory one too? Because the ones that I saw were CMLL, the Winnipeg, and the Bestia. So she's going to Italy. Yes, I say Italy. She's going to Italy. She's going to Winnipeg, Canada, and she's going to go to Mexico. So there you go. Like she's all. It's going to be great because she's going to be lining up. She's going to be dropping the titles, which is awesome. I think it's awesome because and I'm going to eat crow because I'm going to be, she's going to drop a bunch of them. She's just going to vacate them. But
bitches.
No. Wow, Mercedes. Geez, so here I am saying some nice things about you. It's as if she was talking to me, but she's not talking to me. Anyway, we're going to get to the spot that I actually want, to the bit that I actually did want to talk about.
But I've just been really taking this time to feel good, and I really want to feel good inside and outside.
Spending some nice quality time with her lawyer monster husband, right? At the same time.
If you saw a couple of my videos at the house.
hope she drops the belt to the Seminole belt to Soberano Jr. That would be awesome. That would be legit awesome.
Son, oh my God, my back, my neck feels so amazing. I've never felt my spine just feel so straight.
Really? Why? Why do you feel so rejuvenated and changed, Mercedes?
And now I'm here in Cancun, Mexico.
Oh, on vacation?
For stem cell treatment.
Listen to me. Mercedes Moné, who I believe to be the greatest women's wrestler in the history of North American pro wrestling, okay? A top tier professional wrestler is like, yeah, I'm going to go get stem cells. Friends, fellows, ladies, holy shit. I'm thinking of a Mercedes Moné who is already a great pro wrestler coming back full of stem cells. Oh my Lord. What kind of beast are we about to get what kind of beast is about to get unleashed here? Jesus Christ.
Came down to Rejuva-Stem because a lot of my coworkers came down here and told me about their results. So I'm super excited for feeling my best version of myself.
There you go. So that's what she's doing. She's getting the stem cells, folks. Holy fuck. I'm actually excited for this. I am legitimately excited for Mercedes Moné coming back, all like jacked up on stem cells, all feeling nimble and invincible. Jesus Christ. I'm very stoked for this. So good for her. Good for her that she's taking the time and Big Papa Banks. Pretty much. 100% when she returns to AEW, she's going to attempt multiple dives in her first match. She's going to be doing fucking corkscrews everywhere. Yes, that is the Rey Mysterio plan, and a few others on top of that, but notably Rey. Rey Mysterio will always be like the poster child for the stem cells, because anyone who recalls Rey Mysterio in the mid 2000s in his WWE run, he was not the king of the luchadors anymore. He was just like, oh Jesus Christ, this is painful to watch. This is really, really fucking rough. Rey Mysterio slowed down so much, and he's just not. It's just not working out, right? It's just not working out. And then he disappears for a while. You know, he gets released from WWE, disappears for a while, and he gets the stem cell treatment, but no one quite knows that he's doing it. And then he shows back up on the indies, and he's bouncing around, Jesus Christ, like it's 1994. And then it comes out, it's like, oh yeah, he went to have a stem cell therapy back down in Mexico. And they're like, Jesus Christ. He comes back after that, and you're like, yeah, okay, fuck yeah, let's go. Rey Mysterio's back. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm kind of stoked here. I'm starting a GoFundMe for Tetsuya Naito so that he can walk straight again. Didn't he get stem cells, or am I think, didn't he get stem cells? Because isn't the other place to get like experimental stem cell therapy like in Austria or something? And I feel like it's Austria or Turkey. And I feel like he went there. I feel like he had some done. But Naito is in such bad fucking shape. Like, I don't know. Look, maybe it helped just alleviate, you know, everyday pain and stuff like that, you know, which is absolutely could be. Or maybe it was for the eye surgery. I don't remember. I kind of have a feeling that I heard he had gotten some stem cells himself. I may be misremembering. Aha! Aha! I was right. I knew it. He said he was going for a surgery for his left eye. This was back in 2025. Surgery for his left eye, and then he will be starting stem cell treatment on his right knee. So, you know, it hasn't fixed Naito. Like he's not like suddenly at the top of his game again. But you know, he was so fucking broken down. He was crazily broken down. So, you know, it's like maybe he was just too far gone. Maybe the stem cell, like I said, maybe the stem cells just helped him, you know, be able to do day-to-day things without being in pain all the time. You know, give some flexibility back in his knees, but not enough to be like, yeah, I'm back as a full-time pro wrestler. And, you know, he's so tranquilo. Exactly. He's so tranquilo. The stem cells didn't work. The alternate universe where Mysterio signs with AEW would have been fascinating. Oh God. Yeah. It actually would have been. It actually would have been very, because then that means Dominic would have been in the AEW orbit. Remember, Mysterio did a Wolverine costume at All In? I did not, but now that you remind me, I do. I think Naito got scammed with the stem cell treatment. Like, I don't think people fully understand just how bad his knees were. Everyone would talk about Tanahashi's knees and yes, and so on and so forth, because at some point it was part of a story. But from everything that I've understood, Naito was essentially bone on bone. That's all it was. Just like creaking along. She's going to run to the ring like Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, well, she won't be as hopped up on shit like Warrior was, like Jim was. And since we're kind of on talking about injuries and stuff and recoveries, Jake Doyle underwent successful surgery for his torn biceps. Fightful Select reported on Friday that Jake Doyle, the former Jake Something, is recovering after undergoing surgery for a biceps injury suffered during a match that took place last month. Jake Something had successful surgery to repair his injury this week, they wrote. And that's good news. That's good news. If the surgery was successful, that's great. Now he's in recovery mode. And he's going to be out for a while. And that's a shame. But you know what? In the meantime, like we mentioned here on the reviews, on the Dynamite reviews, at least Mark Davis is not being banished to the Shadow Realm again. He's still on TV. He's still doing shit. He had that really fun match with Hangman Page a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite, which I thought was awesome. Just hard hitting and brutal, and you know, you need more of those matches once in a while. So at least, you know, he's not at least Davis is not suffering on that front. They're still keeping him around doing stuff, and that's good. But we hope nothing but the swiftest of recoveries for Mr. Doyle on his trek back to AEW to entertain us with his tag team partner Mark Davis in the tag team known as Davis and Doyle. I'll take that any day over Mega Bad. Can you imagine, like, you're Lena Cross, right? You're Lena Cross, you're being given your creative for your first big, big time gig on national television and a nationally televised promotion. Is like, you're going to be in a team called Mega Bad. What? I thought you guys liked me. No. See, the name is because of the Megasis and the bad girl Penelope Ford. Yeah, that's the gimmick. That's the thing. See, it's not a mega bad team. Yeah, but it says mega bad, and she would be right in this fictional scenario I just created for myself. So we didn't talk any New Japan tonight. We've got the brackets for the New Japan Cup. The first night of the New Japan Cup is set up. We've got the lineup for the New Beginnings USA show that's coming up in not this weekend, the following weekend. Let's save it for Thursday. We're in no rush. There's no rush to cover this. We'll get back around to it. We're just not going to cover it just like right now, because we got to wrap this up. Look, if you're dying for some New Japan stuff from me, head on over to the membership side of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, become a member, and voila, you'll have access to my the New Beginning in Osaka review right there, talking about that great match between the Knockout Bros and Umino and Yumera, which also have a combined goofy name, right? Isn't it's like Rough Storm or something like that, like Roughneck and Heat Storm, and I'm like, gag. It's inescapable. This is all because of Brangelina. Because that was the first one, right? That was the first one to hit public consciousness, where you put two names together for the couple name. That's where it all comes from. It's all because of fucking Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. If that shit had never happened, if they had never fucking dated, that we wouldn't be plagued with this bullshit. Rough Storm, motherfucker. Just use your last names. Isn't Davis and Doyle like a nice, cool name? Yeah, and Brodito sort of brought it back. I also blame them. They're like the team with which that caught on. But like at the very, you kind of felt like when they put the Brodito team together, you kind of felt like this was not meant to last. And we'll call ourselves Brodito. Who cares? But then the team got over. And then now what are you going to do? You're going to change the name now? No. People get upset like at the Triangle of Madness, right? You're like, what a goofy name. I will take 1,000 Triangle of Madnesses or Triangles of Madness. That's where the plural should be, actually. I'd take 1,000 Triangles of Madness before another Rough Storm or Mega Bad. WWE, you're right. WWE is very responsible for that as well. Anyway, Brody and the Bandit would have been so good, Pedro. It would have been so good. What a good name. Brody and the Bandit. There's no vision in this bullshit. There's no vision. Do you have the same opinion regarding Mega Problem? I don't know. Why can't they just be called fucking Bane and Ford? Or if you want to give, why do we have to mix the gimmicks together? It could also just be I don't know, the something better, but the ring goddesses, right? Because they portray themselves as Olympians, right? Or how about that? Just like the Olympians. Holy fuck, there's your name. We all get it, like the Megasis, we get it. You come out dressed like, the fucking goddess Athena, and Penelope Ford has, the other week when we were watching it, Kristen and I, she comes out and she has little antlers, right? And it's like, look at her with her little antlers. I'm like, she's obviously Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. Duh. She's got little antlers. Doesn't matter who she is. She's got little antlers. Anyway, see, the Olympians would already have been that better. Or the Titans. Jesus Christ. And now you got Lena Cross in there? Who towers over Megan Bain? You call yourself the Titans. Christ. BFF, Bain and Ford forever. Silver Apocalypse. Come on now. We can't do that. We can't have another we can't have another segment with another bit on the mega bad name here. I already made a short out of it. So on last week when we were talking about it, everyone was goofing on it, right? Artemis is Greek, but I guess she's Greek. Well, yeah, so is Athena. Athena is a Greek god. Artemis is a Greek god. They're all like doing the Greek god thing. That's what Megan Bain's whole thing is. She's the Greek goddess because she's tall and she's strong. Unless they're from Tennessee, they can't be the Titans. Boo. Diana is Roman. Who's Diana? What are we talking about? Why are we talking about Diana? I never talked about Diana. Who talked about Diana? Besides, for me, there's only two Dianas: Princess Diana and Diana Ross. Those are the only two Dianas that matter. Lena could change her name to Xena. Isn't there's already a Xena in Stardom, right? Yeah. There's already a Xena in Stardom. Who is Australian, by the way. And I don't think she's any good, really. It's just me. Diana is the goddess of the hunt. Oh, so she was so she's the Roman equivalent of Artemis when the Romans took over the Greeks and then transferred their pantheon to Romans. So Diana would be the goddess of the hunt, and Artemis was Minerva, turned into Minerva. Zeus turned into Jupiter, Hermes to Mercury, Hera to Juno, Hades to Saturn. No, Pluto. Pluto. And so on and so forth. Neptune to Poseidon to Neptune. Aphrodite to Venus. Aries to Mars. I'm trying to. Yeah, they didn't change gimmicks. They just had they changed their names. They went to another territory. They just had to change their name. It was like going to NXT. You don't change the gimmick. You just change the name. So the Romans took the Greek gods and gave them NXT names. That's essentially what happened. Here's a trivia question: is Lady Bird Monroe the same Monica Monroe that Booker T confused Mariah May for? That you have already put much more thought into Booker T's thought process there, where he just like completely botched. That's all. That's all there is to it. Yeah, what's Jupiter doing in the impact zone? Pretty much. Liked him better when he was Zeus. Anyway, all right. We're gonna wrap it up for for this lovely initial Monday night stream. Bram Stoker's Dracula was the movie. I want to thank you all for showing up once again tonight. I appreciate it tremendously. You are all incredible human beings, and it's always humbling to be able to do this, knowing that there are people who are going to show up and converse and chat and be, at the very least, not bored with me. I'll be back Thursday for another live stream, and I'm sure we'll have a good time as well. Thank you, everyone, so much for dropping in. Have a great rest of your week. And I, of course, will see you next time.